Caitlin looked at the sunset into the waters. Everyone was heading home. Caitlin, too, packed up her stall and was on her way back home after a long, tiring day of work. Caitlin lived in Venice, Los Angeles, in California. Every morning, she would be up and early to head to Venice Beach to start her day. Caitlin set up her own small stall on the boardwalk, where she sold her paintings alongside numerous other vendors, street artists, and performers who sold their unique pieces of art. Caitlin started her small business about 2 years back, after she graduated from college with a bachelor's degree in fine arts. Caitlin's paintings were extraordinary, but even after going from gallery to sell her artwork, Caitlin wasn't able to find any success. Of course, with every passing day, things became difficult financially, and Caitlin had to find other means of making a living. That's when she started selling her artwork on the street in the busy tourist area of Venice Beach. Caitlin managed to fit her monthly expenses into whatever she made working there. Every day after work, she would visit the gallery where her paintings were being exhibited. It was tough getting her portfolio accepted there, but it all worked out at the end when the gallery agreed to advertise her paintings. Caitlin wasn't too happy in her life, but she tried to pull through. She made a lot of new friends where she worked, and she often spent time at the bar on the beach. But there was only one reason she went there. It was to meet the bartender, Nolan. Nolan was an attractive young man who recently started to work there. Caitlin liked him, and over the days they spoke, they got a chance to bond, as Caitlin and Nolan were both Irish. Nolan had moved from Ireland a few months back. He had a hearty Irish accent, and he was quite charming. Caitlin, however, lived her whole life in California. She only visited Ireland with her family on vacation when she was little. "Caitlin, how's about, yeah? Got any luck?" "Nope, another bad day." "Talk about a bad day, I've had the worst day. Kept scraping my knee falling for you. Do you happen to have a band-aid on you?" "You always know how to make a girl laugh, don't you?" "No, honestly, it wasn't my fault. I wouldn't have fallen for you if you hadn't tripped me." After a rather long chat with Nolan, Caitlin headed to the gallery. Talking to Nolan always made her feel better. Nolan always encouraged her and tried to motivate her. He was a nice guy, and meeting him always put a smile on Caitlin's face. Caitlin walked around the curb. The gallery was right around the corner. She was a bit surprised to see her paintings out on the street. The gallery was redecorating the exhibit. She immediately went inside to inquire about it. Caitlin met the gallery owner. "Mr. Donovan, what's wrong? Why are my paintings outside?" "Caitlin, it's been months. People just aren't interested in your work. I'm sorry, but it's a loss keeping them up in the exhibit. We're losing out on money. There are more painters bringing me new artwork. We need space for the new arrivals." Caitlin sighed. She didn't know what to say. It was true. It had been many months since her paintings were on display in the exhibit, and there wasn't a single sale. "All right, Mr. Donovan, but if there's any good news, let me know. You might as well get some luck tomorrow. It's St. Patrick's Day. Cheer up, Caitlin." Despairingly, Caitlin arrived home. Perhaps a long snooze would make her feel better. The next morning, she woke up and headed to the beachside. The crowds were all shades of green today. Everyone was cheering and joking, but the day was going by slow for Caitlin. Men, women, and children all huddled around the performers, and tourists gathered around the stalls. But only a few customers had come by her stall, only to leave empty-handed. By the afternoon, the crowds had gone to the beach shore, and the boardwalks were half empty. Some of the vendors were packing up, while others were still hopeful for a few more sales. Caitlin scribbled on her paper and tried to pass the time. The sun soon set, and it was starting to get dark. One by one, the street performers and other artists packed up their belongings and headed for home. As Caitlin was packing the last of her paintings, she noticed a statue placed just a few steps away. She looked around. There was no one in sight nearby. Caitlin went over and looked at the statue. It was a beautifully sculpted woman, made of a green-shaded stone. Caitlin waited for a while to see if anyone would come back for the statue, but no one did, so Caitlin decided to take it back home with her. Caitlin set up the statue in her room. She laid down in her bed and admired the unique piece of art. Soon, she drifted off to sleep. The next morning, as Caitlin was on her way to the beach, she got a call from the gallery. "Caitlin, you won't believe what happened. One of your paintings were sold. The buyer offered us such a high price, we were thundered." "What? Are you serious? Who bought it?" "He was a wealthy businessman. He was so impressed by your painting, he offered us double the price." Caitlin was overjoyed. It was as if she had made a huge sum of money overnight. It wasn't before long that Caitlin got another call from the gallery. The wealthy businessman that had bought her painting had brought in some more customers. Caitlin's paintings were suddenly in demand. The gallery was now taking down other paintings to exhibit Caitlin's work. Numerous customers were coming in to buy Caitlin's artwork, and soon Caitlin was among the most popular artists among the galleries in Los Angeles. She was making a lot of money and had become quite famous. After about a few months, Caitlin took the decision to rent a better apartment and upgrade her workstation. She stopped working at the boardwalk on Venice Beach, but she still went to the beach to meet Nolan. Caitlin was now doing well financially. She was confident with herself. It wasn't before long that she approached Nolan. Caitlin and Nolan started to date regularly. They enjoyed each other's company. Nolan was happy for Caitlin's success. "Close your eyes, Kate." "All right." "What do you see?" "Nothing, Nolan. That's my life without you." "Really, Nolan? Now tell me, how much do you really love me?" "Well, count all the stars in the sky." Caitlin usually spent the mornings in her workroom at her apartment. She had reserved one of the bedrooms for her paintings. The walls were decorated with her artwork. Sometimes she would just sit and look at them. They would help bring more ideas and inspiration. As she stroked her paintbrush on the paper, she peered at one of her paintings. It was the painting of the Morrigan, a Celtic Irish goddess. She stood holding a spear and a crow. Caitlin looked at it intently. Suddenly, she thought she saw something move. She was taken aback. She blinked her eyes and looked again. It almost felt as if, for moments, the crow had come to life. Caitlin shook her head. Maybe she was hallucinating. She continued with her work, but over the next few days, she wasn't able to do much. Caitlin ended up ruining all her paintings, and not because they weren't turning out good. There was something strange about whatever Caitlin created. Whenever she looked around her room, it felt as if her paintings were coming to life. Whatever she drew on her paper seemed like it started to move. She could hear the water flowing from her painting of a river. She could see the goddess's hair swaying in the wind. Caitlin was anxious. She couldn't understand what was happening. The paintings were messing with her mind. Caitlin couldn't think straight. "I don't know what's happening to me, Nolan. I feel like my paintings are literally waiting to walk out of the paper. It's terrifying." "You're just getting a little stressed out. With all the work you've been doing lately, you need to take a break. Keep your mind at ease for a few days." Nolan was right. Caitlin had been working day and night for the past 6 months. She truly needed a break. Perhaps it would help clear out her mind. Caitlin asked Nolan to stay at her apartment for a few days. Having Nolan around would help her relax. Nolan arrived at Caitlin's apartment the next day. Caitlin and Nolan spent the days talking for hours, watching movies, and preparing food together. Caitlin had totally forgotten about all her paintings. It had been 2 days since she hadn't gone into her workroom. One evening, when Nolan was in the drawing room, he noticed the statue Caitlin had found months ago, standing to one corner beside the bookshelf. He looked concerned. "Caitlin, where did you get the statue?" "This? I found this on the beach. Someone must have left it on the boardwalk." "You shouldn't have brought this home. You have to get rid of this right now." "Why? It's actually been a good luck charm for me. Ever since I got it, things suddenly changed." Nolan furrowed his brows. "Do you even know who the statue is of?" "This is the statue of a spirit. They call her Lianan Shee. There's an old Irish legend behind the spirit. Legends say Lianan Shee comes in the form of a beautiful woman. She seeks the love of mortals. Lianan Shee becomes a slave to the one that refuses her, but if anyone accepts her, they belong to her. She gives inspiration to those she persecutes. The lovers of Lianan Shee are said to live brief, highly inspired lives. There is no escape from the bounds of Lianan Shee once you've accepted her. The affair only ends when the artist goes mad and eventually passes away. After that, Lianan Shee moves on to seek yet another lover. She is a restless, malignant phantom. Caitlin, throw the statue away. Get rid of this. Perhaps this is the reason behind what's happening to you." "Nolan, really? Weren't you the one to tell me I'm experiencing all these hallucinations because of stress? The statue is nothing more than a good luck charm. What harm can it do to me? And even if it could, you said I would have to accept it for her to inspire me. Otherwise, she's my slave." "You're making a mistake, Caitlin." "It's not a mistake. You're overreacting, Nolan. This wasn't a big deal, but I'm not going to throw this away because of a silly superstition." Nolan tried to convince Caitlin to get rid of the statue, but Caitlin didn't take his advice seriously. Nolan left the apartment angrily. "I tried to warn you, Caitlin. It seems as if my words have no value to you. There's no point of me staying here or staying with you if you have no respect for what I say." Caitlin sat all alone in her apartment. She was a bit angry at Nolan for overreacting at first. But soon, she started to feel guilty. Maybe she was the one being stubborn. Caitlin was upset. She wanted Nolan to come back. Caitlin went to her workroom. She hadn't opened this room the past few days. She had a great idea in mind. She would make the most beautiful painting as a gift for Nolan. She would paint Nolan himself. Maybe that will make it up to him. As Caitlin got her paintbrushes and her palette ready, she suddenly sensed something. Had Nolan returned? She cheerfully turned around. But when she saw who was behind her, her heart sank. Caitlin was overawed. Was this her hallucination, or was this real? She trembled as she stared at none other than Lianan Shee in her true form. She was enchanting. Her wings were beautiful. Her eyes were dazzling. In a soft, bewitching voice, she said, "It's time to go, my love." Lianan Shee lent out her hand to Caitlin. Caitlin stumbled back. She pleaded, "I never accepted you. You can't take me with you." The enchanting spirit only smiled and said, "My love, who do you think left you that statue in front of your stall that night?" You accepted me when you accepted my gift to you. Let's go. It's been long enough. It's time for you to come with me. Click on the subscribe button and check out more awesome videos on our channel. And don't forget to press the bell icon because you know it's interesting.